Mega Money Media wants to welcome you to a brand new year. This is 2020, and at Mega Money Media, we wish you all the best for 2020. We trust that you can truly build your business with global relevance and cash flow maximize in 2020. For those who might be joining me for the first time, do permit me to introduce myself. My name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the author of several books, including Manager's Toolkit and Mega and Billionaire Quotes. Sorry. Now, both of these books are already on the bestsellers list. And I just want to move on by saying to you that in 2020, we want to work with businesses across the world. We want to bring some groundbreaking information that we believe can significantly help in scaling your businesses to a whole nother level. One of the new brands that we're going to be bringing in 2020 is titled Mega Money Corporate Brand for Workplace Self-Actualization and Cash Flow Maximization. So there's three things you're going to be learning there. What do we mean by Mega Money Corporate Brand? What do we mean by workplace self-actualization? And what do we mean by cash flow maximization? In today's episode, I want to talk a little bit about workplace self actualization because I believe it's a topic that is relevant to businesses across the world. But just before I get into today's topic, I want to bring your attention to something, and that is called stress. People across the world understand the concept stress, and it's important to understand stress because stress is affecting people across the world, millions of people across the world. So I want to talk about three types of stress, and that is called chemical stress, physical stress, and emotional stress. What exactly does one mean when one speaks about chemical stress? Now, chemical stress is not only caused by the consumption of alcohol, but chemical stress can also be experienced by the food that you eat. There is what we call GM, and there is a plethora of GM foods that are on the market. And in most cases, you are not aware of these foods, and even more so, you are not aware of the chemical effects of these food on your body. Now, what relevance that this has to do with workplace self-actualization and nurturing the superhuman performance? Everything. Everything. Now, genetically modified food, if it's going to affect the chemical nature of people, it's going to affect both their physiology and it's going to affect their psychology, and it's going to affect how they function in the organization. And in most cases, this is what happened. As a manager, you develop a strong academic content or you leverage strong academic content to transfer a body of knowledge to your employees so as to help them to become better performers in the organization. And in most cases, we are seeing that academic information transfer is not resulting into academic information and organization transformation. And there's a reason for that. At Global Branding and Marketing, with the Mega Money brand that we have just designed, we will do a deep dive into these statistics that will better help you to understand some of those chemical effects, genetically modifies foods and the impact it's having on human performance. So we'll do a deep dive into the factors relating to chemical stress. We will also do a deep dive into factors relating to emotional stress. What causes emotional stress? Surprisingly, what we have seen in the United States of America, we have over 60% of the workforce that do not have $200 in their savings account to deal with family emergency. Can you imagine the stress that those families are under? Now, this is not only unique to the United States of America, it's unique to countries across the world. And once people are going through these stresses, it will ultimately have an impact on their overall performance. The other stress that I want to talk about today before I bring you to the fact of the impact of these stresses on people across the world, the last stress is what we're going to call physical stress. Now, once you're being affected chemically and you're being affected emotionally, it will ultimately affect how you function physically. And there's a range of physical dysfunction that we can look at. We will not go into that today. I just want to raise your awareness as to what is happening. Those chemical stresses, those emotional stresses, those physical stresses that as managers, business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs, you need to pay attention to, particularly so when you want to have the sustained high performers in your organization. Now, I want to call your attention to this fact, and that is we have 110 million people in the world that dies every year from stress. It's not 110, it's 110 million people from across the world that die every year from stress. That's a huge number. You can wipe out an entire population um, by stress. The reality is this: you have people that are suffering with more than one stress. One, you're suffering with chemical stress by the food you eat and you're not even aware of it. You're suffering from emotional stress, and in most cases, you're aware of that because a cash flow maximization issue. And ultimately, you will see sometimes the physical impact that that's having on your life. And I'm saying, as a manager, it's important to recognize that human sustained performance and activating into the superhuman potential of people, we have to look beyond the academic content. And this is where the Mega Money brand comes into place, because we have developed a unique platform that do the deep dive and really bring transformational, groundbreaking information to you that will literally help you to develop a different, a new corporate culture that will maximize human performance. I want to say this: some of the things that we will be introducing you to is not completely new, but we have certainly modified it and we have done a lot of deep diving. And let me give you one example. We have looked at the Maslow thesis, but we have found weaknesses in the Maslow thesis. So we're going to bring the Maslow thesis to you, but we'll also look at the weaknesses and we will present to you some new thesis to deal with some of those weaknesses. And I'll give you an example as to what I call weaknesses, but I must also admit this, and that is, it is our belief that the weaknesses and limitation that we've seen in the Maslow thesis is not an accident. It is by design, and it's by design because of the period that that thesis was published. The world perhaps wasn't ready for it, or the leaders of the world perhaps, that the people in the world wasn't ready to take in that kind of information. Just my view. But I say this against the backdrop that this is a highly educated man, the father of humanistic psychology, and to put this out there with that kind of error that we are seeing, something is definitely wrong. Happily, we have found those weaknesses and we have built a thesis that we call blanket self-actualization to address those issues. Now, permit me to examine some of these weaknesses. In the Maslow thesis called the hierarchy of human needs, you're introduced to what we call human basic needs. And what exactly is human basic needs? You're taught about air, you're taught about water, you're taught about food, and you're taught about rest. And those things are considered human basic needs. But I'm here to say to you, it's not human basic needs. These are human primary needs. You cannot exist without it. You can exist without some of your basic needs, but you cannot exist without your primary needs. Let me say to you why I'm saying this. There's something that we call dealing with air. There's air pollution. And air pollution can make you sick. It can immobilize you. And it's important for you to understand the environment in which your employees are in, and perhaps some of the toxic air content that you need to get rid of, so as to ensure that humans are given a fighting chance to function the way they're supposed to function. In some countries, you can literally see the air pollution that is taking place. But in some cases, you simply cannot see those toxic air content that is having an effect on human performance. So human performance is not only based on the academic. We need to take close attention, pay close attention to what I call their primary needs. Now let's look at water. Water doesn't only contain iron that can affect the physiology, water contains fluoride. And what fluoride does, fluoride stores in the pineal gland. What exactly is the pineal gland? I do not want to go into all of that today, but it affects the human psychology. And once it's affecting the human psychology, it's going to affect how to function in the organization. Now, as a manager, a business owner, an entrepreneur, a leader, we need to understand this, particularly so when we are on that mission of nurturing, sustain high performers. The food that you're eating, it has a whole host of GM that are modifying the nutritional content of that food. Now, the GM content in itself, the chemical content in itself, is being embedded into your body. And what is that doing? It is harming your body. It's harming your health. It's hurting your biology. It's hurting your physiology. It's hurting your psychology. It's hurting the human resource in all of these different areas. When you come into the global branding and marketing, the new content that we have, the new brand that we are bringing to you, the Mega Money Media corporate brand for workplace self-actualization and cash flow maximization, we will present these information to you to ensure that you can make better, stronger business decision in terms of growing your workforce. Now, there's so much more that I would want to say to you, but today is simply to whet your appetite in terms of what is to come, to whet your appetite in terms of what is new, to whet your appetite in terms of giving you the motivation and the incentives to consider this brand that is coming to you. It's different. We have done groundbreaking research and we will be presenting to you groundbreaking information that can significantly optimize human performance with the aim of increasing your cash flow of your organization. So I trust you would have enjoyed this short podcast. And the message that I want you to take away here today is that optimum human performance is ultimately linked to human health. Optimum human performance is not based simply on the traditional academic content. It must take into consideration that humans are not people that you can just program with information and they internalize those information and flow those information. They have a biological nature, they have a physiological nature, they have a psychological nature, and as leaders, we need to understand this and build human transformation content that can speak to these issues in the interest of ensuring that we can truly tap into superhuman potential. My name is Gary Thompson. I'm a business development consultant by profession. I'm a humanitarian by nature, and I'm the author of several books, including Billionaire Codes and Managers Toolkits, both of which are already on the bestseller list. Now, the Mega Money corporate brand for workplace self-actualization is a unique brand. You will learn what we are saying and what we mean by Mega Money corporate brand. You will learn exactly what we're saying by workplace self-actualization, and you will learn what we're talking about when we talk about cash flow maximization. I quickly want to say to you that this program stands on 4 pillars and with 2 supplementary pillars. One, you will learn about the 4 superhighways to mega money. You will learn about the 8 superhighways to building a global brand. You will learn about the 3 superhighways to proactive leadership. And you will learn about the mega money habits, superhuman mega money habits of highly successful people. And you need to commit the time, the talent, and the resources to understand this content of information. It will rock your world and it will bring new platform to help your business to cash flow maximize. So in 2020, I want to encourage you to reach out to us. We will be reaching out to you with the intention of developing your business and your brand with global relevance. Be blessed until the next broadcast.